Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Just going to wait a few more seconds. We've got 7 people currently in the waiting room, and I believe there's a few more booked onto Westminster. So we'll just give them a quick 5 minutes just to join us. But thank you for joining so far. Okay, so I'm going to just start with the webinar. If anyone else joins partway through, it shouldn't be an issue. So to start with, hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Callum Seggy. I'm the Chief Instructor at Weymouth National Boat Centre, and in my voluntary role, I'm the Boats Officer for Glastonbury Street Unit and also the Manager of Cheddar Hub. I've also got with me tonight Sarah Cornick from the training centre as well, and CEO Weymouth Unit is in the background just to help me with any questions you guys might have. This webinar will kind of review Cheddar Hub's first year of activity and have a small look into its future and what's to come for other hubs as well. It's aimed at getting units. Oh, my bad. It's aimed at getting units to think about how they can work together to achieve more on the water, possibly through hubs. And for those hubs that are already established, to look at how another hub does things, not necessarily the best way, just another way. And most importantly, at the end, there'll be time for questions and some chat between us. And I'll do my best to answer any questions. And if I can't answer them, I'll look to get answers to you. So just a bit of housekeeping. On the right of the screen, there should be an option to ask questions. Please feel free to type those at any point through the presentation, and we'll start answering them at the end, unless there's any that kind of fit into what we're talking about at the moment, in which case we'll try to fit them in. So I just want to talk a little bit about Cheddar Hub, give you a bit of a background on it, because that's what we're going to mostly be talking about. So Cheddar Hub is based at Cheddar Reservoir, and it's between Glastonbury and Street Unit, Axbridge and Cheddar, Burnham Sea and Western Sea from there. So the background is that Glastonbury Street, along with Axbridge and Cheddar, had been boating at the reservoir for a few years separately, and in the last couple of years, 2018, 2019, had looked to work alongside each other a lot more, supporting each other. Towards the back end of 2019, we discussed with Inshore Boating about hubs and becoming one, and then we also brought Western Supermare and Burnham Sea into the fold, as we all kind of worked together before. We agreed that the membership would be split 4 ways, so we're all equal members, with Glastonbury and Street Unit taking the lead management roles. We formed fully in February 2020, and then, as everyone knows, COVID happened and stopped all the fun, so put it on hold. Towards the back end of July, Glastonbury Street was approached by Inshore Boating and asked if we'd take part in the Summer Active and be a host venue, to which we said yes, and ended up having 8 units, including our 4 members, take part in activities over August. So I'm going to start with the negatives, and then we can look at how we overcame those issues and look at our successes. So as the initial work, we were originally using Bristol Corinthian Yacht Club, which is the sailing club on Cheddar Reservoir, as a third-party provider. So we didn't have any of the paperwork in place. So there's a lot of initial work in that respect for me to kind of get everything set up in terms of IBOS and getting our site-specific operating procedures in and our risk assessments. And then there's also the task of kind of getting the 4 units together to meet, iron out kind of how it would work, field questions such as, will our cadets get our fair share, and just general questions you get from the committee, and then negotiating with the club an affiliate membership price, and just kind of showing them how having the Sea Cadets boating at their venue will actually benefit them a lot. And having youth on the water is great for their ROA statistics, and also it lures in potential future members. We had some issues with storage. We had plenty of space for our boats to go, but we had nowhere to store any of the kit that goes with boating: helmets, buoyancies, spray tops, etc. The solution, the short-term solution, was that units would bring with them the kit that they needed to use for that session, take it back to their unit, and then wash and dry it there, which would work, but it was not ideal. Then we had COVID, which, as I said, stopped all the fun, and also introduced a new obstacle of social distancing, which wasn't achievable in our current fleet of Quests. And then we also had to sanitise kits for 72 hours, which meant we'd have to get more kit if we wanted to boat regularly. So we had to change our fleet, and then for Summer Active, we set ourselves an ambitious task of offering sailing and kayaking 5 days a week from Monday to Friday. So we needed to provide those activities. That's 3 volunteers a day to make that happen. So to overcome those issues, and before I get into what's on the slide, I kind of want to talk about the photo that I've popped into the slide there, because I think it really sums up kind of the hubs and the member units' attitude towards this year, which was, as you probably see from the photo, it's a really wet, grey, potentially miserable day, and they had every right to be a miserable day. However, the cadets, the volunteers, parents, when he dropped off the kids, they kind of all just got on with it. No one groaned. Everyone got their boats rigged, took them down to the water, got out, and had a blast. Had a really, really good day, and arguably some of the biggest smiles we've had all summer. So I think, as I said, that kind of sums up how we've handled this year. We could have easily said, no, COVID's hit, we're not going to do anything, we're going to wait for it to go, and then go on the water. We've got all these issues in our way. We kind of faced them, overcame them, and had a fantastic kind of time on the water in spite of all these challenges. So we've adapted to a COVID secure world. We exchanged our fleet within our member units. We brought in 4 Picos from Western Supermare unit. We brought in a topper from Burnham-on-Sea and from Yeovil unit as well. And we used the Southwest area kayak pod, topped up with some extra small kayaks from Burnham. We could have done some rowing, but we decided to kind of leave it to the side for now, as it was a lot easier to be social distance in single-handed boats like the Picos and the kayaks. To enable the sanitising and 72-hour storage of buoyancies, spray suits and helmets, we combined resources from Western, Glastonbury, Axbridge and Yeovil unit to be able to cover 4 days worth of activities, which totaled to, I think it's around 60 to 70 buoyancies, which is a lot for a hub. And then we managed to use Glastonbury and Burnham-on-Sea's buses on a day to transport that kit from the reservoir up the road to Axbridge unit, where they allowed us to use one of their rooms to set up a drying room. We had a rack for each day, buoyancies one on there with a sign that said when they were used, when they were safe to use again, and a dehumidifier in there, so it all kind of dried out. Otherwise we wouldn't have been able to reasonably get that done. We also got sanitising for the boats and the kit. That's the sanitizer that Inshore Boating recommended, and we also kindly got donated some hand sanitizer gel from a local brewing company, big 5-gallon jug of it, so that went really well. To make participants feel safe, all of the above, plus a daily briefing sheet. I think that worked really well. Everyone felt really safe, everyone constantly sanitised and kept their distance. We learnt our member unit strength, whether that's getting kit from units, storage space, and skilled volunteers. We all played our strengths and come together really well. And we had a lot of support from the MSSC to overcome many of our obstacles. So at the start, Inshore Boating sat in on some of our meetings to offer kind of the overview of the hubs and where they sit in the Sea Cadets. Also helped me with the paperwork. They also helped source a mod dory for us, which arrived just before lockdown, which actually kind of unlocked boating for us this year. As part of our membership, we were able to use the club's boats and fuels, but because of COVID, they kind of said no one's using those for now. So without the dory, we couldn't have gone sailing. And the MSSC have also helped secure funding for a 20-foot container, which is now on site, which now stores our buoyancy aids, helmets, spray tops, and the dory over winter, which makes the hub really self-sufficient and really unlocks boating there for us. I said earlier about how, for me, having no initial paperwork, there's a lot to kind of do to get it in place. But if you're a unit that already boats and you've already got your own kind of operating procedures and a few risk assessments, using that framework of IBOSH, which is the MSSC support, really becomes easy just to change a few things and streamline a few bits to kind of get it all in place. So that really helps. We managed 5 days a week through our dedicated volunteers, having a wider pool of volunteers to choose to call upon to fill those gaps. And then also I was redeployed myself through my work with the Sea Cadets from Weymouth Training Centre, as it was, to help out at Cheddar Hub and Bristol Venture Hub and make Summer Active happen at both of those. And then we also have a booking system or a digital office, which we use to have all our paperwork on, keep track of what boats are being used, and then allow the units to work collaboratively together to book courses at the hub. So our successes, I'm really pleased about this one. We've really worked collaboratively together, the 4 member units, but then also the wider 8 units that we brought in. So 4 extra units we brought in for Summer Active. We all worked really well together. Every member unit had something significant to contribute, and then also the units we brought in for Summer Active all contribute and worked with us as well, which is really, really good. Shared kit, shared skill volunteers. We opened more opportunities for our young people. If you look at the table on the bottom left there, the figures just from August. So that's running 5 days a week, 10 till 3, bar roughly 1 week due to cancellations due to poor weather. And if you look at the volunteer numbers there, 204 hours, 37 sessions. It's a big volunteer input, but when we've joined units, we've got more volunteers to choose from, because there's more units. So to look at the, as in summary, a good bit of initial work, but as I put there, even more payoff. From kind of managing the hub at the beginning and getting everyone together on the same page and doing an initial chunk of work to get it pushed forwards, it's now getting to a point, or at a point, where it's self-sufficient. As a manager, I feel like all I need to do is look at the future aspirations, kind of work on any projects we want to do, getting electricity into the container, units are already booking on using the app to run their own courses or start working together to book courses. So although it wasn't the first season that everyone imagined, we have had a really successful summer. Summer Active was a good success, and the hub outside of Summer Active has been a huge success as well. So kind of the future of hubs. So the Cheddar, we're looking to get RA recognition. At the moment, we rely on the sailing club hiring their chief or principal in to assess the kids, but with an RA recognition, we can do that ourselves, and Inshore will help with that. We're looking at more sports off the back of the success of the first summer. Burnham and Sea Unit they have brought 2 new zests, and Glastonbury, we are in the process of securing a pod of kayaks, which will always unlock more boating and enable us to do a lot more collaboratively at the hub. Further MSSC assistance or Inshore Boating help. Hubs are really becoming the future of boating. We're hoping it unlocks more boating and more opportunities to go boating at more locations for our cadets and volunteers. But we're also looking to put the support in behind that as well. So there's a Teams channel for any existing hub that's been invited to, where we can work collaboratively, share ideas, ask for help. Boat stations or training centres are looking to become more of a local point of contact for startup and ongoing support. So that could look like a collaborative program where we help you run courses. So if you have a group of people who would like to do their digging instructor, for example, and you have no volunteers in your pool that can deliver that, you can ask us to provide a coach assessor for that. So rather than shipping all 6 candidates over to the training centre, we'd ship the 1 instructor over to you and run the course at your local area. Or vice versa, we could look at running part of your programme at our centre. So for Cheddar Hub and Weymouth, Cheddar could look to come to Weymouth for the coastal elements of bits, or we could send people there to get a bit more of an inland sailing experience. Excuse me. We could also look to support training by loaning kits through the cooperative fleet agreement form. And if you need any assistance, ask, and your local boat station should be able to help you. Just while I'm up on this screen, I just want to highlight as well that Inshore Boating has changed its location on the TNA website. Just bring that up and switch to that one. So on the side here, it's no longer hidden in proficiencies. It is now in its own section here, just under offshore, Inshore Boating, with all the bits you need there for it. So operating standards, that holds in there all the bits you need to make IBOS work for you guys, and all the boating support, even virtual regatta and Summer Active was in there as well. So I just thought that was worth kind of highlighting for you guys as well. It's a new place. Sometimes things that move around, we don't always make it known too well. So what I want to do is show you something that Cheddar Hub does, and I've mentioned it before. It's our booking system / virtual office, just to kind of start the idea of sharing ideas really. So while I'm going through this, if you've got something you do at your hub, if you're a hub already, that works really well. Use the questions bit on the side just to pop that in there. It should be up. Let me just double check. Yeah, it is open, so feel free to pop your ideas in there. But I'm just going to switch my screen to show you this. So this really, this is a free app. You make it online, and it's based off a Google Sheet, which I do have open here. Just pop your data into there, and you can use it to populate your app here. It's all free. Every instructor that's part of the hub has a copy of this. And when you open it up, the first thing you come to is the global chat. So there's a question coming. I'll answer that question just at the end. As a instructor or a member unit, open it up, come to the chat, which is a global chat, a great place for people to kind of either get updates from me as I update the app, or talk to each other about kind of what they've got coming up. You can then see the boats that we've got at the centre. As a manager, really good, so you can click on there, see the boat's information, see if the boat is available or unavailable, if it needs work done to it. In here they can create bookings, putting in kind of how many cadets, what instructors, what boats they need, and then that's available for every member unit to see and kind of comment on and say, hey, we've got some cadets who want to do something that weekend, can we work together? You're doing kayaking, we can do some sailing, if you've got any cadets who need to do sailing, and that kind of work together like that. But where it really replaces the office, which we don't have, is we've got all of our operating procedures in here, which are available to all our instructors any time of the day. So there's no time wasted coming to the site, being handed a document and go, you've got to read that before you can go on the water. Or if they forget something while they're there, like what key does what to open up the club, they can just open it up there and see it. They can then, once they've read that, go on to their instructors bit. On their version of the app, they'll only see their details. I made this Joe Bloggs earlier, so it's not a real person. They can come on here, click on the edit bit, add in a date that they've read the ops and sign it there, and that's electronically kind of locked in. And I know I can look on there and see their expiration dates. They've signed the ops, they're good to go. And then there's also bits on there like maintenance breakages. So if someone breaks something, they can log onto this, take a picture of it, tell me what's wrong, upload it, and I can see instantly what I need to fix or task a party to fix. So like I was going to say earlier, not necessarily the best way to do it, it's just another way that my existing hub kind of does it. So if you've got any good practices you do at your place, please feel free to kind of share them. So last slide is just to kind of say, if you have any questions on what I've said or anything relating to hubs, now's the time to kind of pop it in the Q&A if you haven't already. I'll do my best to answer them when I can. There's a bit of a delay between what I'm doing and what you guys see, so I'm going to wait a little bit, see if anything comes in, or answer any questions that I have. Bit of awkward silence. So first question to come in is from Dave O'Donnell. Did you have to pay a joining fee to the sailing club? Then did the cadets pay to attend during the August sessions? So I feel like they're kind of two separate questions there. So yes, the hub does pay a affiliate membership fee to the club for use of facilities. We get fuel included that as well, their use of their power boats and general bits like members, and we can store our boats in the container there as well. That, as our hub, has been chosen to be split 4 ways between the units to be equal members, and that's how we cover that cost. And then any training we do, we can choose to pass on a fee to the cadets as you normally would for a course. Another way that hubs can set up is if there's a single unit that has a prime boating location, say, and they've set it up and they've kind of taken the management role on, what they can then do is have member units that come to them and pay a fee per year, like you would do if you went to a training centre as a member or a boat station as a member, and that's how that can be managed. But for the August sessions, the summer active, no, we charge nothing to the cadets. That was all free and funded by Inshore Boating and Marine Society Sea Cadets. Okay, I can answer that one privately. Good question there from Keith. Is there a funding pot that hubs can draw from? I wouldn't say there's a funding pot. There is assistance that can be given to a hub that will have a wider impact on many units. So it's easier to apply for funding as a hub with a wider reach on more units than it is as a single unit doing some boating. So we've had assistance with sourcing a 20-foot container, as I mentioned earlier, because that really unlocks boating for us. So there is money available to help, but I don't know if I'd call it a pot of money that you can just dip into as and when you like, which would be great if you could. Great question there. Doesn't publish that one. Question of, would you be willing to help with paperwork if people want to become a hub? Absolutely. I'm not saying that me personally want to help with every single hub across England, but that is what the boat stations and training centres will be doing, and the kind of Inshore network will be helping with paperwork to become a hub, and whether that's just down to kind of coming, having a look at the site and writing your site-specific operating procedures, or helping with risk assessments. The great thing about iBoss is the main document is it's the same anywhere you go. So the main part about manual handling, ratios, launching boats, governing bodies. If you come to the training centre in Weymouth, that bit's the same. If you go up to Port Edgar Boat Station, it's the same. If you go to Fapson Boat Station, that bit's the same. The only bits that change site to site are the site-specific operating procedures. So how their slipway works, where their toilets are, showers and bits like that. But yes, there absolutely is help to help with that initial bit of paperwork and ongoing support as well. Let's read another question. Good question. You need to think about it a little bit more. So questions coming from Anonymous. We have been asked by another unit to support their boating as they go to the same club as we do, but don't have any boats. Do we, or should we set up a hub to support them? My initial thoughts would be, it sounds similar to the kind of situation at Cheddar, where Glastonbury and Axbridge, we both had 3 quests that were kind of gifted in part or bought by the unit or gifted by Inshore Boating, and we decided to kind of join together because, you know, we had rowing instructors, Axbridge didn't, so we could help them with that. Axbridge had another sailing instructor like myself, so we could work together to provide more sailing for cadets. And then bringing in Western, they had loads of sailing instructors and kit. And then Burnham got a wealth of knowledge of paddle sports, but not much to sailing, so he got the sailing from us. So it sounds like you could form some sort of hub, working through the sailing club, you know, using their water and possibly their facilities, whereas you just do your kind of own boating. So where the idea of a hub and the iBoss paperwork comes into it is, if you're using the sailing club, their boats, their people as a third-party provider, you don't need to have iBoss. As long as you've got copies of their paperwork, risk assessments and all that, you're fine. But if you want to start doing your own boating, then you'll need to have all this, well, not all this, but all this paperwork in place. So it sounds like you could look to become a hub, work together a bit more, but it is more of a case-by-case basis. So it'd be good to kind of talk a bit more with Anonymous and see what they kind of need a bit more specifically. That could be in an email. Initially, if you like, to inshoreboating@ms-sc.org, or if you find your local boat station and contact them for assistance, they should have a help as well. No questions at the moment. Give it a little bit longer for you to come in with those. know. Apologies, I just dropped out for a second now. I think I am back. Yes, it looks like I am. Again, just waiting a little bit longer for you guys to pop your questions in. Questions come in. It's a question from Keith. What's the app you use for virtual office / booking? So that's called Glide app. Like I said, it's a free app based on the background of a Google Sheet. You need a bit of Excel or Google Sheet, know how to get the backbone working, but once you kind of delve into the Glide app interface, you can build it just like that. If it's something that people are a bit more interested in, Keith, feel free to contact me and we can talk a bit more. I should be able to share the template with you to save you some of the work. If it's something you're interested in, it's not me saying it's the absolute best thing in the world to use. It has its limitations. It is free, but there's other bits you can pay for to make it slightly better. Keith, I've just sent you my email if you want to email me to know more. But it is an option. We do have a folder sat in the container, but it doesn't get used much because we use the app a bit more. And I think it works well, and the bit of feedback I've had from my members is that it does work. What was that, another new one? You're welcome, Pete. I'm just going to wait a bit longer for anyone to have any other kind of questions, queries that you might have, and then I think we'll call it if there's not any more. Apologies, I was on mute for that bit. Thank you, Sarah, for pointing that out to me. So the question just coming from Dave O'Donnell. Can we have the boating hours recording changed so that adults can record their hours? One advantage is you can see the active instructors. Absolutely kind of agrees and see your point. Unfortunately, I'm not quite the person who has the control over Westminster, but what I will do is feed that up the chain to the right people to see if that can happen. I think it's just worth a mention. Oh, I've gone offline. Apologies, my internet just decided to drop out there again. I believe I'm back. So just a final point, I think it's worth mentioning that seems we are still in the light of COVID. If you are planning to return to boating and you haven't yet got the return to boating paperwork sorted out, the Lyme status approval, that is something you must kind of have in place before you go boating. If you are having any difficulties with that, then again, your local boat station is a great place to get some assistance from. Whether that's just getting procedures in place or looking at what kit you can use, they should be able to help with all that. I think we're going to call it there. There's no more messages coming in. So thank you very much for coming along. I hope this has been of some use to you. I think there might be a feedback going out at some point. If you want to check anything over that I've said, the webinar will be available for reviewing later on. And yes, thank you very much for coming. Have a good evening.